things too. I mean, not necessarily comedy.
Do you think there's an element of the kind of tears of a clown? Because here you are doing comedy and a lot of people laughing at you, and yet at one stage in your life you sort of treated the world as if they were kind of 3 drinks behind.
Yes.
You became an alcoholic,
well,
didn't you?
Well, was at that stage.
3 bottles behind, perhaps.
Yes, certainly. I don't know quite why that happened. I suppose that partly because I was a very shy person. And I found that drinking what could in those early days be called sociable and reasonable amounts of alcohol made me a bit more outgoing. And people liked that. They liked this new, improved Chapman that wasn't quite so reticent. But I just went a bit too far over the next few years, and it gradually took over. Finally, I came to the realization, actually on the first day of filming of Holy Grail, the film Holy Grail. We were out on the Scottish mountainside at 7 o'clock in the morning, and because it was the first day of filming, I hadn't organised any hip flask or anything like that, so there was nothing around, and because it was the first day of filming, no one in the crew had any drink. I asked every single one of them, nothing. The nearest village was 20 miles away, it was raining, and I was in armour, which was very cold. I began to have DTs with the first scene to do, and the first scene was where King Arthur, which was me, goes over the bridge of death over the gorge of eternal peril. Now, if the hand of God had actually come down and pointed at me and said, "Stop drinking," I couldn't have needed a more blatant message than that. And at that moment I decided that this drinking business was not fair to the others in the group, because I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to do this scene that I was just about to do. Fortunately, I did manage to. And also it was unfair to me, and that struck me as the stupidest kind of unfair of all. So I ought to stop, and a couple of months or so later, when I had a little bit of free time, I was able to.
Do you think people in show business get away with that, with being an alcoholic and the mode of behaviour that goes with that, for longer periods than perhaps just your public? Because people expect folk in show business.
People expect a bit of outrage, yes, yeah. And they don't mind all that much if you keel over in the corner of the room or something. You know,
right. I mean, Oliver Reed's built a reputation on it, hasn't he? If Oliver Reed packed cigarettes in a factory, nobody would put up with him.
No,
quite. The fact that he's in show business, everyone thinks he's Jack the Lad.
Yes, quite. But on the whole, I wasn't quite as outrageous, I suppose. I didn't do too much that was damaging to other people, fortunately. Although certainly, in certain ways, I did, I suppose, yes. But not too bad.
Let's talk about present day and the projects that you're involved in now. Sort of doing a little bit of homework. I'm really fascinated to know how somebody has 4 different projects on the go. You're about to appear in an American movie, and I think you're involved in the making of 3 movies with British connections.
Yes, at different stages, yes.
How do you manage to juggle all those balls at one time?
It's the tax people that do it for you. You reach a point where you're fortunate enough to have made a reasonable amount of money, or perhaps an unreasonable amount of money, on one particular project, and then the tax people come along and take lots of it away. Holy Grail was the case in point. And at that stage, the Wilson government offered me, I think, 83% they wanted of income from that, which came as a shock. I was expecting maybe 60, you know, that would be bad enough. But it was 83, so I had to leave the country and go and work in the United States in order to be able to earn enough money so that I could come back and live here. So now, it's still that process that happens, and I work because I need additional projects just in case one should fall by the wayside, as they can, I suppose, because you have to find a lot of money to make a movie, and people get very nervous about giving you large quantities of money. But at the moment, everything seems to be going rather smoothly, and fortunately, and yes, I have got 3 going at once. So you're either completely out of work or madly overworked.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you can find the time to come up here and chat with us. We've got lots more to chat about, so please stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, and thanks to Graham Chapman. Join us again after the break.